G'day guys and welcome back to the Boundary Riders Podcast. Today is episode 35, so nearly at episode 50. Another episode of the off-season edition as we'll call it. We've got co-host Jack with us as always. A couple of things have came to news about in the AFL the past week or so. Mainly what we'll be talking about first is the Melbourne Demons stuff. Yeah. Obviously last week we did talk about Joel Smith and Elijah Hollands who... I don't think Joel Smith has been suspended yet, neither has Elijah Hollands, but he has... Hollands this week did go to court and got sentenced to, I think, a 6-month good behaviour bond, I believe. Don't quote me on that. And Joel Smith is... Well, from the interview with Simon Goodwin, he's yet to talk to his, coach.
Yeah.
That seems a bit strange.
Yeah, he heard it in the news, Goodwin, that that Smith obviously took drugs and he didn't reach out or anything. Smith hasn't talked to him, so yeah, I don't think he's going to be playing round one next year.
Yeah, I don't think that's a round one play there for Joel Smith. So more to come about that. But obviously there was an interview, I think it was on SEN throughout the week, a couple of days ago, it was, with Simon Goodwin, and also Gary Pert was involved in the interview as well. Yeah. So they did have a talk about a couple of things, mainly about the culture of the group. Weirdly asked Simon Goodwin if he's taken drugs since being coach. I didn't know that was a thing. Is that a thing?
Yeah, because
he's been accused of that.
I think it was either during the post-season last year or just before the season this year. There was rumours and that he took illicit substances and stuff, which...
I mean, whatever.
Yeah.
I mean, look, I don't think the guy should be doing it. He's a bit old now to be doing illicit drugs.
Yeah.
Simon Goodwin.
I think it was all because, it all came out last year sometime, I think,
Let's be honest.
Season.
If a coach takes illicit drugs, not a good idea, but also, it's not like a performance enhancer. He's not like going to be out there and be making the big calls going into round one. Well, clearly it didn't work anyway if he did take illicit drugs, which he didn't. Well, he says he doesn't, so we'll take his word on it. But I do think that, let's be honest, if the coach did it, I don't think it makes a big deal, honestly. It's not the biggest deal. If the players do it, I understand. Depends on what sort of drugs they're taking, obviously. But end of the day...
obviously, kids don't do drugs. Obviously, that's what we're not promoting it here.
Well, if Simon Goodwin does it, well, that means that you're allowed to do it, apparently. You're a role model. Shut up. Don't tell your kids then. Anyway, one of the big talking points throughout the week as well was there was an interview with Clayton Oliver. Basically, there was journalists trying to huddle around him while he was at the doctors. Trying to catch him off guard. Good on you, fucking cunt people. Imagine that. Imagine sitting around every single time you leave work or leave the doctors or something, and there's someone there with a microphone in your face saying, "How are you doing?"
Yeah, I know. It just seems.
What's been up with you the last couple of weeks?
Yeah.
And then
it's very uncomfortable in my opinion.
Yeah, well, Clayton Oliver looked clearly uncomfortable. But one of the big things was in these interviews that Clayton Oliver, according to Melbourne, was never considered to be traded.
Oh, well, that's not what Tom Morris has been saying.
Yeah, Tom Morris was basically kicking him out the door. Get the fuck out of here at this point. But that does prove that we were right. That he was never going to go. Clayton Oliver did say that if he was on the trade table that he probably would have gone, but he loved the club and he was never going to leave if Melbourne wanted to keep him, and that's what we've heard. So again, it's what we're going to take the word from it anyway. There was talk that when they said that Clayton Oliver, they talked about the Clayton Oliver situation in the interview, and they said that he's going through some very complex issues. Now, that could honestly be from anything. That could be anything. That could be from a close family member passing away to, I don't know, he snorts heroin off a buddy hooker's ass or something. I mean, that could mean absolutely anything. But honestly, I don't really blame them. The interview that I saw, it just seemed like they had to answer everything so robotically. Yeah. Because they were just they knew. SEN was one who were doing the interview, and throughout the whole entire trade period, their main source of information was from Sam Edmund and Tom Morris.
Yeah.
So of course Melbourne are going to go on there and act incredibly robotic and trying to get the answers minusculely right, because if they got one thing wrong, that thing was going to be the next headline. Yeah. And we've seen every single little thing that they said has become a headline.
Yeah. Well, every team in the AFL have media training and all that. They do. They have those people behind the scenes who pretty much tell them what to say when their teams
when they
under
win,
pressure,
when they lose, when they're under pressure, when they're in the good form.
When something comes out of the media, they get told pretty much what to say. So well,
there's no personalities in the game.
Exactly.
There's hardly any personality in the game.
You watch them on in the media on footy shows and all that, and you compare it to when they're on a podcast or with mates and stuff. It's completely two different people.
Yeah.
When you watch it.
Well, I think that's why a lot of the reasons for example, why the likes of Clayton Oliver and that it gets blown so far out of proportion, because most people see the minuscule interviews that he has on TV, and all of a sudden they see him partying, and they're like, "Oh my god, this guy has a social life, has a life. Yeah. This is insane. We can't believe this," because we've seen them do for their footy career, basically for the past 10, 15 years of footy, basically since the social media has been so big now. Yeah. Obviously, every single player has grown up with the technology and stuff of social media. You don't really see many 34-year-olds, whatever, Scott Pendlebury or whatever, far-assing around with heroin. No. But the likes of the newer guys or whatever, Joel Smith, for example, is quite a new player. Yeah. Obviously, these guys are growing up with social media and obviously have all these different things that they have to deal with. But then when they come to a footy environment, they have to be so robotic, have to be so correct on what they say, or else they're going to get shouted down.
Exactly.
And I do think it's quite interesting as well that when we do actually get a character in the game, we either love them until they do something a little bit off kilter. Even for example, a Tom Papley. We've seen a lot of Tom Papley very early on in his career. He had a couple of interviews with the coaches and that sort of stuff. With the commentators, and he was very much liked because he was very Australian larrikin or whatever. Yeah. But now, I think, basically we've seen that he did a new podcast, the Early Crow podcast, I think it was called. I don't even know if it's still... Is he still doing it?
Yeah.
Every week? Okay. Yeah. Well, it's not really promoted anymore, but anyway. Not that I really look for it. I'm not really into betting as much as you, but you do see, obviously, he got a lot of backlash for doing that.
Yeah, he got a lot of backlash.
And now he was very robotic in his response, how we're very sorry and all that sort of stuff, which is whatever. I think I had a go about it on the podcast a while ago. But anyway, I just think it's very interesting how the interview with Simon Goodwin and Gary Pert was very robotic. And to be honest, I don't think they said a lot, to be fair. I love how they set it up. It's this is going to be the interview of the century. And all they did was ask Simon Goodwin, have you taken illicit drugs? And shockingly, he said no. Oh yeah. Not that I think he did. Obviously, I don't think he did. But even if he did, why the hell would he admit it to people listening on SEN?
Yeah, and the millions of people that be listening to it. So
the millions. I think maybe the 100 people who were listening to it live, and then the couple of thousand people who watched the Tik Tok or whatever. But I think it's very interesting. I didn't even know that Simon Goodwin rumour, to be honest, so I don't know how many other people would have known about it until... I mean, obviously you did, but many other people I don't think would have even known about it. But end of the day, I did think it was pretty funny, like you said before we started, Gary Pert said that their culture's been the best it's ever been, or best in 40 years. Yeah. I think, look, if you believe or don't believe the stuff that's coming out, just even if you do believe that, don't say it. Yeah. Just leave it for a year. Yeah. We have seen a couple of things come out of Melbourne over the past year or so, Stephen May and Jake Melksham getting into a fight. Yeah. Stephen May saying they wouldn't have won a premiership with Jake Melksham if he was in the side, and
they may have won won a final this year.
Yes, Jake Melksham was in the fucking team. So I do think that is don't say that. Just
leave it.
Believe it yourself, and maybe tell the players that we still believe that we have the best culture. Yeah. But don't say it. That's just... I don't think... what's your proof?
Yeah. Remember what Gary Lyon at the end of the... I think he was on later on that day, and he's like, that's just a big cop-out. It's just it's total bullshit. You can say that. But, it's probably what Gary Pert was told. Yeah, well, exactly. He probably was told, you need to say something that's going to make us look a lot better, or at least give us a little bit better on face value. Yeah, it's for the thousands of members and fans that are out there.
And also the sponsors and stuff as well.
Exactly. So,
because they're obviously getting dragged through the coals at the moment in Melbourne. So, and obviously it is a big club in Victoria, so they're obviously going to be dragged through the coals a lot harder, and it's going to be very publicised. But I mean, that's basically what we thought of that whole situation. I think that a lot of it's been blown out of proportion, as we have seen throughout this whole trade period with the Clayton Oliver situation. He was never going to be traded, according to Melbourne. I tend to agree with that. I think that, like we said, it was a disciplinary meeting to Clayton Oliver, telling him to shape up, and there was no talk of him getting traded. But obviously, they spun that as he's going to be he's looking for another club. He's looking for another club.
Yeah,
and I just think that's how many trade periods going forward are going to look like. So it's going to be follow the channel for the true opinions of trade talk. We're not going to have any exclusives for you, but we will tell you how bullshit half the exclusives are around trade talks in years to come.
Yeah.
But of course, we do have the draft coming up, and we do have the AFL phantom draft of the top 10 so far.
Kautumi.
So it's not from Kautumi. Apparently, it's from Chris Kavana from the Herald Sun. I didn't read the article because, let's be honest, I'm not paying for a fucking article. Fuck you, the Herald Sun. But anyway, AFL Trade Hub on Twitter posted it. So at the moment, they do have the top 10 phantom draft. We have number 1 with West Coast being Harley Reid. Number 2 being Jed Walter. Now, that's obviously one of the academy picks for the Gold Coast Suns, so that will be swapped. And then North Melbourne will move to pick 3 and 4 instead of 2 and 3. So they're saying pick 3 will be Zane Dersma, brother of Xavier Dersma. 4th will be Colby McKercher for North Melbourne as well. 5 will be Hawthorn with Nick Watson. I believe that's a father-son pick. Don't quote me on that again. I'm not a huge novice of the draft. I will be following it a little bit more as we get closer, but yeah, I'm not a big follower. I think it's because it's not publicised enough.
No, it's not like the NFL
with college
American
football.
Sport, or American sports in general.
Yeah, college football, college basketball. You see it all around and it's televised, and we get a 10 a.m. game on a Wednesday. It's sorry, I got work. I'm not checking out a random game between the Allies and South Australia's team. Fuck off.
I think Australia, the AFL in general, should be able to do better. Because with the AFL draft now, they do the first round on, let's just say on one day, the round 1 draft, and then the next day they do the last 2 or 3 or the rest of the draft. Yeah, and they don't even publicise that. They don't even put it on TV and shit like that.
Yeah.
This in American sports, they do. Well, it's like a party and shit.
Yeah, we've seen the NFL draft. They have a huge party in front of one of the big venues around America.
Yeah. And
they have these big celebrations of players coming in, and people are excited to bring in a certain player because they've known them throughout the years coming up.
Yeah.
We've only. I didn't even know who Harley Reid was until this year. We should have known that this kid is one of the up and coming players for the AFL.
Yeah.
We see about NFL, people getting signed to different colleges 3 or 4 years in advance, 5 or 6 years in advance.
Yeah.
So because they do prospect these kids all the way from under 13s, 14s.
Exactly.
So I think it should be more publicised. But anyway, back to what this was. Anyway, pick 6 would be Riley Sanders. Now I thought Lachlan Croft actually was going to be the Bulldogs pick up, but obviously they'll pick him up as a father-son. So the Bulldogs pick here is pick 6, Ryan Sanders. Number 7 is Melbourne with Ethan Reid. Now that is another Gold Coast academy pick. So that would move Melbourne down to 8th, which means they pick up a player by the name of James Leake. Number 9 is GWS with Daniel Curtin, and number 10 at this stage is Geelong with Nate Caddy. So look, other than Harley Reid, Zane Dersma, and Daniel Curtin, I have not heard a lot of these names. I'm going to be honest with you.
Besides the academy players.
Academy players.
Some of the academy players for Gold Coast. They're saying that Jed Walter
looks like he's going to be a really big player.
They think he's going to be a lot more like the Josh Kennedy type.
Oh, okay. So he's going to be quite good. Yeah. That would be good for the Gold Coast. I think that will be good for him. I think that's a big reason as well why they were very happy to get rid of Babu Chol.
Yeah.
Going into
I think that's what they were looking at. They think
and I think they recently just signed Casbolt. So Casbolt will probably be in for a lot of the year while Jed Walter gets develops a bit. Yeah. But yeah, I think the Gold Coast definitely got some building. They didn't pick anyone up in the trade period, but the way they retained their players, which both GWS and Gold Coast did, was very good.
Yeah.
So the fact that they did that, they're going through the draft, both of them here, Giants have a pick in the top 10. I would be a little bit surprised if they did pick up Daniel Curtin because he is a WA boy. I would think they would maybe look a little bit differently, but we will wait and see. And we obviously know that West Coast at this stage are going to use Harley Reid if they do keep their pick 1.
Yeah.
Do you think that there has been a little bit of talk over the past few weeks about the pick 1 being traded? North Melbourne offered, I think it was pick 2 15, 17, and 18 or something, for then get back 1 and 42 or something. Something like that. And Melbourne also... No, I think Melbourne also offered 6, 11, but then wanted to... and then something else, but then wanted to get back 1 and 42. Something like that. But I think North Melbourne, if anyone's going to get it, would be them. But they have to offer pick 2 and 3.
Yeah, I think that's the only way it works, because it's not... Because pick 1... Everyone's saying it's Harley. Obviously, it's going to be Harley Reid. We're not stupid. We're not sugarcoating it. It's Harley Reid, and
everyone else is.
Everyone knows it.
Is a stage.
And everyone's they're saying it's a different player, and a different class, really different class. So it has to. If West Coast are going to look at it, if it was me, I wouldn't trade it. It doesn't matter what they offer, but if it was someone that would want to do it, it'd be 2, 3, and probably their next pick, 15, I think North Melbourne's pick was.
Yeah.
So
well,
that's the only way I'd look at it.
The one thing that West Coast would maybe consider dropping it off is because they don't have very much in their talent pool. Yeah. So maybe getting rid of their pick 1 for like 2, 3, and 15 or 16, whatever it was. Maybe that would be a good idea. And North Melbourne would be very good to go pick up a Harley Reid, because they did lose their pick 1 with Jason and Francis a couple of years ago. So maybe train up to get that pick 1. But at the end of the day, I think whoever gets pick 1, I think will be happy with Harley Reid. I think West Coast at this stage, in the past, I've kind of considered letting North Melbourne get the pick, and they shouldn't even wait. They should wait till right on draft day. Wait and see who the hell is going to offer these big deals, because clubs are coming at them now. Yeah. So when draft night comes, just let all the offers come in, and who knows, maybe North Melbourne will offer. I think they've got 4 first-round picks. Maybe they'll offer all of them just because they want Harley Reid. Yeah. So West Coast need to wait, but if Harley Reid truly doesn't mind where he wants to go, and I tend to believe him because that's what he said, so I'll take his word on it, and fucks him good as he did. So, I think West Coast, pick him up, take him pick 1, and let it go for him, really.
Well, I've always believed that they're not going to trade it. So based on what West Coast have said, what Harley Reid has said, they're not going to trade it. He doesn't care that he's going to go to West Coast, so yeah, I think that's where he'll go. And
he's got the likes of Chris Judd telling him you'll love it in WA. Yeah. So and Chris Judd obviously did come back to Melbourne after 8 or 9 years at West Coast, so he wouldn't mind. I think that and also West Coast have a very good record of retaining players. But I do have a video that will I think would change your mind. I think this would actually make Harley Reid. I think we've got some news that Harley Reid shouldn't be the number 1 pick on this, though. Oh, okay. So Harley Reid was recently on Dylan Buckley's podcast, Dylan Friends, I believe it's called, and he was on an interview, and he talked about something which really turned my guts, and I really think that Harley Reid should be. I think it needs to be looked into, because this is not a very good look for Harley Reid. Now, I'll let you listen to it because I've already seen it. This is Harley Reid's coffee order that he gets pretty frequently, I believe, and this seriously needs to be taken a look at.
Before we're down at the coffee shop downstairs. Yeah. I said, "Do you want a coffee?" He said, "Yeah, can I get a cappuccino with vanilla syrup in it?" I was like, I'm not ordering that. That's physically, they don't even do it here. They must do it in the country. I don't know where they do it. If he does get picked up in a Melbourne club, you got to change that order, man. Yeah. I'm telling you now. You won't debut round 1 if you order that.
So he gets a cappuccino with a pump of vanilla. Yeah. Now look, at this point in time, I think his age needs to be looked at, because that's a child's order for a coffee. A pump of vanilla into a fucking coffee. I'm sorry, but Harley Reid can't go pick 1 because clearly he's not of age to get drafted. No,
that's really bad. I didn't realise how bad that was.
Yeah, I wouldn't pick it. Imagine him going to WA and a miner standing behind him, being a FIFO worker, just coming back after 14 days shift, coming back and just going to a coffee shop just to, off his first day off, and he comes in and he sees his Harley Reid standing in front of him. He's like, "Oh, can I get a cappuccino with a pump of vanilla?" Oh, he'd bash him. He'd be there. Yeah. So Harley Reid, he's got to really shape up. Yeah. He's got to get a normal coffee order, flat white, no sugar, toughen up. Yeah. That's what he needs to have. Or just have a full on what do you call the coffee that a black coffee? Fucking. This is why I'm not being drafted, because I'm an idiot. But they need to do all these interviews, and I'm just a fucking idiot. He doesn't know what a black coffee is. Idiot. Anyway, that's basically all the footy news we've got. Harley Reid won't be picked at pick 1 because that's just atrocious. Clearly, he's not of age to be picked up as a footy player.
Yeah, stay in Melbourne, mate.
Stay in Melbourne. Even in Melbourne, I think they'd question him. I mean, maybe they'd be okay with a pump of vanilla and cappuccino. Fucking hell. And exactly what Dylan Buckley said. I'm not ordering that. I'm not going to someone and asking for that order, man. That's fucking atrocious. But anyway, now we will be getting to our world sport part of the podcast. So we will be starting with a little bit of soccer, and probably the biggest news to come out of like soccer or football for anyone watching would be that Lionel Messi has claimed his 8th Ballon d'Or, and he beat the likes of Haaland and Mbappe. And I mean, this is surely the last time he wins it. I think that. Yeah, well, I mean, unless he is favouritised. So. But there has been a lot of controversy on the fact that a lot of people did think that Haaland deserved it. What is your thoughts on it?
Well, technically the rules were that it had to be within the year that he won it. Technically the rules were the week after the World Cup to now was the period that you were looking at. So the
week after the World Cup?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
So then why did Lionel Messi win it?
Yeah,
I mean,
that's what that some criticism was about, that he won it, that he shouldn't win it because of the fact that the period that they were looking at, he didn't win anything.
Yeah,
really. And to be honest, I think Haaland did deserve it.
Look, I think it's a bit harsh that he didn't. I mean, he won. If we're looking at cups, yes, he didn't win the World Cup, but he won the treble with Manchester City.
Yeah. I
think he won the Golden Boot at Manchester City and record breaking.
Yeah.
Like, look, I mean, I get there's some obviously that he doesn't have like the prowess of Messi yet, and I don't think he ever will. To be fair, I mean, I think Messi's they're different players.
Yeah.
Like, he's a poacher striker. Messi's a lot more of a, I don't know what you'd call it. Like, he plays a lot more around the ground. He's a lot more passing as well as shooting. There are a lot of statistics that do say that Messi should have won it, because he had a lot of assists as well, a lot of goal contributions.
Yeah.
And Haaland just got a lot of tap-ins, which I kind of get. But at the end of the day, I think the amount of goals that Haaland got, I mean, you can't just say... I know there are a lot of Manchester United supporters and that say, oh, he only just gets tap-ins. But you got to be in those positions. You got to be... The poacher's mindset of getting in those situations to get those goals is good enough.
Exactly.
There were a lot of people as well who were saying, well, if Messi won it by only winning the World Cup, then Alvarez for City should have won it because he won all of the treble and he won the World Cup.
Yeah, well,
so I agree with that.
That's why I think Emi Martinez, Aston Villa keeper, well, he pretty much won them the World Cup. If you want to go back to the World Cup, he won them the World Cup, really. Yeah. If you want to be frank, but Haaland, I think because he plays for Norway, obviously because that's his country. I think because they never made the World Cup, he
never performed on the world stage.
Yeah, he's never performed on the world stage. So.
I think this time the World Cup comes around, they will be in the World Cup.
Because
they got a lot of young guys coming up, and also the pool's a lot bigger now for the World Cup. Yeah. So also as well, Australia have, speaking of soccer and World Cup, I guess Australia have dropped out of the World Cup race, the men's World Cup, because they're looking to get the Women's Asian Cup here and the Women's World Cup again.
Yeah, and the Club World Cup.
Oh, sorry, and the Club World Cup. So, I'm going to be honest, I'm sorry. I don't give a fuck about seeing the Women's Asian Cup. Look, I give a little bit of a fuck about that. I don't give a fuck about the Club World Cup.
Yeah.
I'm going to be honest, because you only get to see like 2 teams from around the world that the known teams. The rest are like from Saudi Arabia and fucking all this.
Yeah.
And look, maybe Ronaldo gets into it if he's still at Al Hilal. Is he at Al Hilal? No, he's not at Al Hilal. He's at who's he at? I can't even remember who he's at now because I don't care.
Yeah.
I don't know these teams. Neymar plays for Al Hilal. Sorry. I don't know these fucking teams, and I don't care about these sort of players. I would love to see a World Cup here in Australia, the Men's World Cup. Some of the best players in the world, like Haaland coming over, Mbappe, fucking all these players. Like Harry Kane from England and Australia playing here.
Yeah.
I think that'd be a huge boost for us.
Yeah.
And we're dropped out because we want to get an Asian Cup here. Like, sorry, we should be winning that.
Yeah.
Like, why would we not be winning the Asian Cup here in Australia? Like, we were one step away from the World Cup final.
Yeah.
So, of course, we have a better chance of winning the Asian Cup. Like, that was shit. I think that was stupid.
Exactly.
To have dropped out of the Men's World Cup race. Because I think we have we have the stadiums, we have the atmosphere, which shows with the Women's World Cup that there'll be a lot more of an atmosphere for the Men's World Cup because it's just numbers and fair. So I just think that was just crap at the end of the day. I think that every person here who's not even really a soccer fan would love to see the Men's World Cup here.
Oh, yeah, exactly.
But in other soccer news, we have Everton. Big news probably going around the Premier League is the fact that Everton have been threatened a 12-point deduction. They're currently in 15th spot and only have 10 points to their name. The reasoning is they have following a possible breach in financial fair play rules. So that's the headline of it anyway.
But, looking at that team, they have a lot of people on a lot of like big wage, and they could be on -2. That would be so funny.
Well, I mean, at this stage, the bottom three are Luton Town on 5, Burnley on 4, and Sheffield United on 1. So, look, they wouldn't be completely relegated, but they'd be close.
Yeah.
Because they don't really have that good a record. The only other team, the two teams keeping them out of the relegation zone are Nottingham Forest and Bournemouth. So the three teams in the relegation zone are the teams who got promoted.
Yeah.
Doesn't usually happen.
Yeah.
Yeah, all three of them are the promoted teams. Right? Yeah. Yeah, they were.
For sure. Yeah, they were.
Yeah, so
I think that's funny, yeah.
So Everton, like, to be honest though, looking at their team, they probably should be relegated. I mean, other than Decore, like, who's really doing much for them? I mean, Calvert-Lewin's done
maybe
okay.
Pickford
and Pickford, yeah.
But, looking at the teams, like they struggled last season to stay up. I think they had to win like three of their last 6 matches to try and avoid relegation.
Yeah, we've seen the likes of Leicester in their EFL at the moment dominating. They're right up the top.
They've got the record highest points in the first 10 matches of the season, I think it was.
Yeah, and they're going to basically they're promoted already.
They're already there pretty much. Yeah. The way they're going. But
so they were one of the teams that got relegated obviously last season. So I think this would be huge if a team lost 12 points, Everton of all teams.
Yeah. But,
now this is at this stage, so obviously if they go and win next week, they'd only be on 1 point.
Yeah.
So they would still be in front of Sheffield United.
Yeah, but it's happened before. They've threatened it with Manchester City. It happened in Serie A with Juventus, I think.
So, we have seen this sort of thing being threatened before. It usually is just like a shape up or we will do it. But the FIFA Federation is very corrupt as it is. We've seen it many times, obviously with the Qatar World Cup being one of the huge ones. So, let's be honest, they're probably going to let it go. I don't think they will get deducted.
I think it will. I think it will get deducted.
You think they will lose their
I think that will happen. Nothing will happen about it.
Yeah, you think it will be just let go.
Yeah.
They'll just sweep it under the rug.
Pretty much, yeah.
I think that's what will happen as well. But yeah, interestingly, at the moment, Chelsea right down in the middle of the table, very dangerous. Well, everyone's just saying that Chelsea doing well, just stay above relegation zone at this point. They're not doing very well at all. Manchester United aren't doing much better, to be honest. They're 8th with 3 points on Chelsea, but their goal difference is -5. So they've got a worse goal difference than Chelsea. So, like, not that it's that bad, but yeah, Manchester United not in the best spot either.
No.
Great to see Tottenham doing very well at the moment with Ange Postecoglou. Obviously, I mean, there would obviously be the Liverpool fan and you're not loving Tottenham. They're not that they're a huge rival, but, I guess Liverpool hate everyone else, not them.
But it'd be funny listening to some Arsenal fans at the moment.
Yeah, well, everyone seems to love Ange. Like, he's such a great manager. It's just, he's just Australian. That's how we are. Yeah. We just fucking don't give a fuck.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're all laid back and whatever, and he's very laid back. I've seen a couple of interviews with Ange Postecoglou, and he's just laid back. He doesn't have a go. He's not stuck up and all like a lot of other managers have been.
Flow,
I think I think it was, I can't remember who it was who had the interview with him, but they just said, they just outright said, you're just copying Guardiola's playbook and whatever. And he just laughed it off and said, yeah, I have been.
Yeah.
Like a lot of managers would be very stuck up about that. Like, could you imagine if they asked Jose Mourinho about that? He'd give him the death stare and fucking kill him. But yeah, at the moment, the Premier League's gone pretty well. Brighton sitting 7th at the moment, but in the Europa League as well. So once they start getting all the cup games in, that'll be interesting how they go.
They're starting to dwindle Brighton at the moment. That's because of that.
Because if you're not one of the big clubs we've seen likes of Leicester and that, when they have reached European football,
They take one more.
They take
one eye on one of them, and put their focus on that one tournament.
I mean, although Newcastle are doing okay at the moment, they're in the top 6.
They've got all the money though. That's the thing.
But they still don't have the list at this stage. They've still. Well, there's obviously that rumour is still floating around that Cristiano Ronaldo has a clause in his contract that if he's... I thought it was this year, that if they made European football, that he would be moved from his Saudi club to Newcastle, but that didn't happen. They say it would happen next time if they do it again. I doubt that. Unless that... Well, I mean, maybe, because the Saudi owner of that club also owns Newcastle, so maybe it would happen, but... I'd be very interested to see Cristiano Ronaldo in a black and white jersey in St. James's Park. That'd be very interesting. But that's basically all the soccer news we have. So we have a little bit of NFL chat with you.
Yeah.
Falcons lost, so I don't really have a lot to talk about.
That was pathetic, really.
Yeah, well, we lost again.
Did you see the highlights of that game?
I try to avoid it. The fact that we lost to the Titans is pretty embarrassing. We did play Heineke finally. We finally gave
given up on Ritter. It finally took you till half time of that game to realise that he's shit.
Yeah, but to be fair, his stats look a little bit better. He's got a better completion rate, but his yards were crap, and I think he fumbled once as well and intercepted once as well. So
there was so many.
Oh no, he fumbled once. That's what he did. Yeah.
Yeah.
So not surprised by that.
Yeah, there was like in that game against the Titans. What's his name? Hopkins, DeAndre Hopkins. Yeah, he got back into form with 3 touchdowns. So he's, I think, finally found his footing back at NFL level.
Yeah, well, it's because he's been at so many different. What do they call them? Organisations. They don't call them clubs. They call them organisations. Or franchises, I think they call them. But yeah, he's been playing at the Cardinals for a while, and he's left now to the Titans. So he's finally got his footing back there at the Tennessee. So. That's good to see for him.
The Chiefs lost to the Broncos.
That was embarrassing. Russell
Wilson
Wilson actually played a good game, which was a miracle.
Yeah,
he put his paycheck down. And he's like, "Oh shit, maybe I'll play a good game for once."
Yeah, I don't even know how that happened. Yeah. Really, like I woke up on.
They got destroyed too. They only scored 9 points. For the Chiefs, that's a shocking game.
Well, that's no points in the second half.
And he only got 1 touchdown. No, he didn't get a Patty Mahomes didn't even throw a touchdown. Was it 3 field goals? I didn't even look at this. Is it they only kicked 3 field goals? I'll have a look. Just keep on going.
Yeah, well, Kirk Cousins, he got an injury. He's out for the rest of the season, which is interesting because obviously I think it was as of Monday night, the trade period finished for the NFL. So, what's his name? Joshua Dobbs from Atlanta went to the Vikings now because of the injury to Cousins. So
yeah, I'm not surprised. Falcons tend to lose all their talent. They just tend to trade them out. Just fucking leave us.
Yeah.
I just looked then. Yeah, they didn't actually get a touchdown that game. The Chiefs. It was only 3 field goals.
Yeah.
So that's insane from the Broncos. For them of all teams to stop Patty Mahomes from scoring a touchdown, no rushing touchdowns either. That's pretty insane. I don't think that'll happen for a very long time.
Yeah, and the Bengals beat the 49ers. The 49ers look like they're in a bit of a hole at the moment. Yeah,
it's interesting because they had a really good start to the season. It almost looked like the NFC was being fought between 2 teams. If it was it was going to be very interesting between the likes of. Sorry, it looked like they were going to be like the leading them and the Eagles were going to be fighting it out for that NFC spot in the Super Bowl. But yeah, they've definitely dropped off. They've down to 5-3 now. Yeah. Chiefs are doing still okay. They're still on 6-2, but they're definitely looking a lot better at 6-1.
Yeah, well, the Dolphins are still putting on the points, but they're coming up against the Chiefs this week, so that's going to be interesting. The Dolphins game against the Chiefs.
Yeah, well,
obviously coming off that demoralising loss to the Broncos. So
yeah, you want to be safe about that.
Yeah,
I mean. We also saw as well the Panthers did get a win finally. Their first win.
We had to beat the Texans, which I don't think is very hard.
The Falcons played them the week before and only just scraped over the line against them with a field goal on the whistle. So true.
And as of today, Josh McDaniel's been sacked by the Raiders.
The Raiders haven't done very well this season so far.
Yeah, well, they lost to the Lions.
Detroit are doing alright this season though.
Yeah. So. A lot of people saying that Jared Goff is playing best that he's ever played in his career at the moment.
And that's interesting considering he played at the Rams when they won the Super Bowl. So
yeah.
Wait, win the Super Bowl or lost the Super Bowl?
No, it was the trade that the trade went from Stafford for
Goff. That's right. Yeah, and
Yeah.
Stafford went to That's right.
Yeah,
Yeah, he's playing quite well, but you can see the statistics on Garoppolo, who moved from the 49ers because they obviously wanted to play.
he was horrible in that first.
Yeah, well, he threw only 10 completions for 21 passes, no TDs, threw an interception as well. He got sacked so many times too. I saw the highlights of that game.
He was horrible.
He wasn't getting help much at all from his offensive line.
Well, one of the last games I wanted to talk about was the Jets and the Giants. If you're watching this, don't watch the highlights of that game. It was horrible. It went into OT. That was probably the only highlight of the game.
The fact that the highlights went to 15 minutes.
It took the Giants to the third quarter to get a third down conversion, and it took the fucking Jets to the fourth quarter to do it. That's how bad their offense was. Well, would you say the defenses of both teams was good? Which way would you say it was?
Well, looking on yardage on the stats, just for me, I didn't see the highlights of this game, but looking at the yardage, only they threw 250 the Jets and the Giants threw 190. So that's not much at all.
No.
So I'd say that's more attacking sucked, but that's just me.
Yeah.
You see here on third downs they only completed it 13% of the time on the Jets side and 10% on the Giants side. So
you look at the scoring, like the amount of it was pretty much done by field goals. Really, that's how the game went.
Well, other than the Cowboys, it wasn't the most high scoring week. I mean, the Cowboys demolished the Rams.
The Saints actually got some score. They got 38 points in that game, so they actually surprisingly the Saints scored.
Yeah,
against the Colts, but.
To be fair, if you look at the lineup of the Saints, they don't have a very bad look to their team.
No, and I
their
think,
offense with Derek Carr now and Taysom Hill, yeah.
I think Kamara
well.
coming back from injuries. I think it's his third week back. Don't quote me on that, but him being back in a form, I think, is helping them.
Well, he's one of the best running backs in the comp.
Yeah.
So that's obviously a massive get for them. But Derek Carr throwing well as well. He threw 300 yards and had a completion rate of 70%. That's really good for a QB. So and throwing two touchdowns in the end. So he's done really well. So obviously he's definitely came off leaving the Raiders pretty well.
Yeah.
He's moved to the Saints. He's done pretty nicely, and now Garoppolo's throwing a terrible game for the Raiders, and now their coach is sacked. So is that all for your NFL chat?
So, yeah. Yeah, not much else,
if we take a quick look, at the moment, top of the NFC is the Eagles, who are 7-1. They're doing pretty well. And for the AFC, we have, is it the Dolphins and...
The Chiefs.
Chiefs
are the number one seed if you're looking at the playoffs.
Yeah, at this stage. But we're about halfway now? I think it's 17 games in the regular season. Yeah. So, so we're halfway through this... 18. But I think everyone gets a bye. So I think it's 17 games each.
Yeah.
So, we're nearly halfway into the NFL season at this stage. So, it's getting pretty well to, getting positions now. At the moment, though, we're not sitting too pretty. I'll quickly have a look at standings on the NFC side.
You are pretty much...
We are just hanging in there.
You're on top of the NFC West, right?
Yeah, by just.
I think
it's because we've got conference wins over the other ones. So
that's the only reason you're technically in fourth seed, because at this stage, if the playoffs started next week, you'd be playing the Cowboys as them being fifth seed, so you'd lose that easily.
Yeah, well, one of my mates is a Cowboys fan, so he'd be loving that. I think that'd be the team you'd want to come up against if you're in the top three. You got the Eagles, Detroit, and the Seahawks. To be honest, other than the Eagles, I don't really see any of the other teams doing too much going into the playoffs.
To be honest, I think you'd want to... the teams you'd want to avoid in the NFC is the Eagles and still probably the 49ers and the Cowboys. Yeah. Even though they're probably not the seed, they're 5th and 6th seed, the Cowboys. And
the Cowboys are very on and off, though.
Yeah.
So you want to be careful.
When it comes to playoffs.
Yeah, very much so. They seem very... they don't seem very dangerous there. But there are obviously a lot of teams coming up. The NFC, the conference that the Falcons are in, they've got a lot of competitors with the Saints and the Buccaneers right up their tailpipe almost. If it wasn't, the Panthers obviously dropped way down.
It's way off, yeah.
Yeah. Well, I do think the AFC is a lot stronger at this stage.
Yeah.
Even though Eagles, I think, are still on top. After that, if you're looking at seeds for that, the rest of it, you're looking at AFC, it's Chiefs, Dolphins, Jaguars who are 6-2, doing pretty well, and the Ravens as well were 6-2.
Yeah.
But yeah, just looking at it right now, NFL season about halfway through. Premier League's probably about 10 games through. That's looking at world sport for us. The last thing I wanted to take a look at, though, is another video. Well, for audio listeners as well, maybe you just want to listen to this. But I found a new sport. So last week we took a look at... what did we take a look at? It's like a weird
MMA
sport.
basketball.
MMA basketball. So that's... Yeah, I can't believe I forgot that. It's my favourite sport. But anyway, there's a new sport. This isn't really a sport that's funny, but I think it's a very interesting sport. So we'll take a look at it. This is, what's it called? Still Timber Sports. So Still is a company that makes mechanical stuff.
Electrical tools.
Electrical tools, that would be the word. Fucking idiot. Why am I doing a podcast? I don't even know how to speak. Anyway, what they try to do is they're going to chop through the log, and then there's a beer sitting on top of the log. If the beer drops, you lose.
Ah, yeah.
So look at this guy. This guy is a genius. He cut through it again just to prove how good he is. And then we've got this other person walking up here, beer sitting on top. It's a pretty nice cut, but
you gotta do it quickly.
You gotta do it quick, and you've also got to try and get it like very straight. And you got to come out very smoothly. Oh, that was smooth.
Yeah.
Oh no. Oh, this is like the
I think he's just showboating.
Yeah. This is like the synchronized diving.
Mm.
Yeah. Oh no, this guy's cutting through the middle of the log now. Oh, this guy's fucking genius. This is a sport that should be in the Olympics. Fuck this cricket. Fuck the cricket.
Fuck the breakdancing.
Fuck the breakdancing. Fuck all that. Didn't mind the skateboarding in the last Olympics, but this is actually quite interesting. He hasn't spilled the beer one. To be fair, he's got it in a glass cup, though. The other one's having it in a plastic one, I think.
Yeah.
But no, he's doing very well here. I don't know what he's doing. He's cutting out like a shape, but this is definitely up there for one of my favourite weird sports. The fact that he's... Oh, no, alright, hang on. He's got a bit of a balance going on this one. So he's trying to cut the log to leave just a little bit of it and just leave it sitting on top. Oh, very well done. Very well, and he drinks the beer. Good job.
Yeah.
He shouldn't be drinking the beer when handling power tools anyway. But I like this guy in the big green. I like this guy. Team Forest. I wouldn't call you Team Forest, where you just cut it all down, you fucking it. But anyway, that's one of my new favourite sports. Beer logging. I don't know what it's called, but I'd be very disappointed if I was that guy who did it second. So that's my new favourite sport anyway. Second new favourite. I still think that MMA basketball tops it.
Yeah, I think MMA basketball's
Anyway, guys, that is the Boundary Riders podcast for this week. We do have a bit of an announcement coming in next week's podcast, so make sure to tune in. Also, leave us 5 stars on Spotify if you are listening over there. We do have the podcast on Spotify now. It was my brother's fault, but I forgave him because I'm such a good brother. Anyway, thanks for watching today, episode 35, and we'll catch you all in the next one.
See you later, guys.